Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video, I am going to teach you how to create a Spring Boot backend project. So before going to work with that, we need to understand about the services. So before going to develop entire backend project, we need to split the services. Okay, so by today, I am going to show you for one service, I am going to work with a backend project. So like that, you can work for all the backend services in the single project. Okay, so first of all, go to this website, Spring Initializer. You already know about that. In the previous videos, I teached about this clearly. So in that you can choose the Maven project type and language is Java and version is Spring Boot 3.1.5 and project metadata. So you can choose your own project metadata. I am given my name. And the artifact is the project name. So I am going to create not entire project. I am going to split the project services. Okay, project into services, which mean, for example, if I am creating any online shopping website app, so I can fix the services like customer service, like product service, like order service, like customer detail service, like that number of services I can fix, like payment service, like delivery service. So number of services are there. We does not going to work all the services at the same time. We going to work, we can split the services and then we can work. So I took only one service for this time. So I took the customer service for online shopping app. So I can give a project name is customer service, and the project description what you want you can give. So this Spring Boot backend project for the customer service. And the package name, it will automatically come, and you can choose the packaging type jar and Java version 17, that is fine. And in the left hand side you can see the add dependencies. So you can add the dependencies like Spring Web and Spring Dev Tools. So in the next video I will teach you about the Lombok. So Spring Data JPA. So for working with the Spring Boot entity classes, we need to use the Spring Data JPA tools. Other than that, we already know about the Spring Web and Spring Boot Dev Tools. And additionally, we need to add the database connectivity. So we need to use the MySQL driver, JDBC driver tool. We need to add it, MySQL driver. It provides the MySQL connectivity jar file. So these are all our requirements. We need to add this tools: Spring Web, Spring Boot Dev Tools, Spring Data JPA and MySQL driver. Okay, so now we can ready to work with the backend project. So click on generate button. It will asking you to where to save this file. So I can save this file separately. So once it is downloaded, you can go back to that folder and right click that, extract here, and now you go back to the Eclipse software and you can click on the file menu and go to import, click on general, sorry, not general, type Maven click on Maven. So in the Maven inside, select the existing Maven project and click on next. And here you need to choose the project where you downloaded. So click on browse and select the project folder and click on finish. It's started to download. Click on yes. So now we are ready to work on it. So I got the files and I got the package and I got one basic main program for running this application. And I told you I added 4 number of tools, dependencies, Maven dependencies I added. So in the last file, that is pom.xml file. So in that file you can able to see what are the tools you have added. So it will come under the XML file format. So you can able to watch it and look at there. So the number of dependencies are there. That is, we added Spring Data JPA, Spring Web, and Spring Dev Tools, and MySQL connector jar file, and this is by default, automatically it will add. Okay, so these are all the dependencies we have added in the website. I told that these 4 dependencies we have added. For that dependencies, automatically the file code was generated in the XML format. You don't worry about it. So that's why we choose the Spring Boot framework. And now we can see how to create a backend project. So for that, what we need to do now, first of all, we need to understand how the backend project will be work. So backend project definitely need a database. So for that, before going to do the code, I am going to create a database. So for creating the database, I am going to use the MySQL Workbench. I already installed this software. So MySQL Workbench, click on that. So I already have more connectivities. So in that I have choose any connection, or else you can click on the local connection. It is fine. It's just like an interface. Any one of the interface you can use. It's loading now. Now it is opened. It is connected with the MySQL server. So already many databases are there. Now for our backend project is customer service. So now we need to create one database. So database only we going to create. Don't worry about the table. Table automatically will generate. So here you can see the schemas. Schemas is which means a database. So you need to create your own schema. So click on this drum symbol icon below the menu bar. You can able to see the drum symbol, that is create a schema. So click on it and give the database name. I am given customer service, but I already worked many customer services microservices, so that I can change the name customer service 1 and click on apply, click on OK and click on apply again and click on finish. So now let's see the database customer service 1 was created and there is no table right now. So the table will automatically generate whenever we run the program, run the backend application, the table will automatically created. Okay, so first of all we need to create an entity class for the backend application. So right click the package and click on the class. So I'm given a class name. This is customer service, right? So I'm given a class name as customer. So this is the entity class. So I can mention the annotation here at entity. So for that entity class, you need to add the import file. And we already know about the entity class. Entity class will help you to collect the data by the user, and it will help to create the data. It helps to create a table whenever we run the project. I told you the table was automatically generated in the database. So the the entity class is the table for the database. Okay. And the whatever the entity class name you are given, so that class name is the table name. And now I can give the variable. The variables are the column names, columns of the table. So first of all, I can create the variable for ID and customer name and customer address. That's it. So for that we need to set the mapping annotations. So basically I can give, this is the basic annotation for ID. This is the ID variable. So we need to give the ID annotation here. And for this ID, I am given a column name. Column name equal to, I mention SID. This will be enter into the table in the database. Okay. And for this we need to add the import file. So like that for all the variables, only for the ID variable you need to mention the ID annotation. Other than that you can use the column annotation for choosing the column name. Whenever you run the program, automatically the columns are created with this name. And we just doing the mapping. Okay, whenever we creating the table, okay, the table will get the mappings of the whatever the variable we are given and the value and the variable. Okay, the variable mentioning that is columns of the table. Okay, so we need to do that mapping. And for the address, so the variable was created, and for the entity class we need to create a constructors and getter setter methods. So first of all, I'm going to create a constructor. So right click, go to source. You already know about that about the entity class. So go to click on generate constructor using fields. And even though we need to create a default constructor also. Right now we need to create a getter setter methods. Select all the variables. After that we need to create a toString method. Right click again, go to source and click on toString method. Yeah, now it is completed. And once you created the entity class, we need to create a interface for the repository. For our customer class interface, we need to create a repository. Why? Interface repository. Why we need to create an interface repository now? We have a CRUD operations for doing the insert, delete operation, update operation, getting all the records operation. So we need to work on the database comments, so that we have a methods. So that methods can be stored into the predefined interface repository, that is JPA repository. Okay, Java Persistence API repository. So for that repository interface, we need to create our own repository. That repository will extend with the predefined one. So right click the project and go to click on the interface, and in this interface I'm given a customer repository name, and for this, in this customer repository needs to extend with the predefined repository, that is, I told you, JPA. Okay, JPA repository. So in that we need to give the generic for the ID variable. ID variable is the identification for doing the CRUD operations. Okay, so that I'm mentioning the entity class name, that is customer, and the ID data type is wrapper class is integer. And for the JPA repository we need to add the import file, and in this repository we have in this interface we have a methods for the CRUD operations. So that for using the CRUD operations we need to create our own repository, that is customer repository. That our own repository with extend with the JPA repository, that is predefined one. Now we created our own repository, and that will be connected with the JPA repository, and now we can able to get the accessibility of the CRUD operations. Okay, once we completed this, we need to create a service class. Why we need to create a service class? Now service class helps to do the work of CRUD operations. I told that insert, read, update, delete, everything. So that I can create one service class. Right click now and go to new, click on class, and the name was I'm given customer service. And in this class we need to mention the annotation. Two annotations we need to mention. One is service, another one is transactional. Transactional is optional one, but service is important. We need to add definitely. And next, I told you we need to use the CRUD operation. So for that we need to create a object for the repository interface in our customer service class. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to create an object for the interface. Now we created that JPA repository I told you, because we need to call the CRUD operation methods from the JPA repository. So that we need to create an object for that interface customer repository. So in the first line I'm going to create an object customer repository, and for this we need to add the import file. Now it is work. Import file is no needed because same package it will have. Now we need to make the auto-void annotation. I already teach you what is the use of auto-void annotation. So this is another interface. So this is another class. So we need to use the auto-void annotation. After that, now for get all the records, I'm going to create one method. From the method one by one I will explain. So first method I'm going to create for get all the records. So it will get all the records. So the record will be storing like a list. Okay, so the return type I will give the list type, and the list type I'm mentioning the generic type is the class name, entity class name. I told you whenever we inserting or getting the record, retrieving the records, we need to use the entity class. Okay, so that I'm given a return type for this method list. The generic type is customer, and the method name is list all. That is our own. You can give your own name. So for this list, we need to add the util package and give the return, and the return type is we need to call the predefined CRUD method repo.findAll. Okay, find all method help you to call all the record from the table. Okay, so for this, for working this method, for working all the method from the service class, we need to create a RESTful API controller class. In the previous video, I explained why we need to use the RESTful API. So right click that and go to click on the class, and the class name is customer controller, and this is RESTful API, right? So those who are not watched in the previous video, kindly go to watch it, and after that you can see this video. It is very clear until you will not get some points. So we need to give the REST controller annotation, and we have one method. Okay, that is list all method. It will help to call all the record from the table. So that we need to make the mapping. So for calling this list all method, we need to create a customer service object here. So we need to set the auto-wide annotation and create the customer service class method object, and for the auto-wide annotation add the import file, and now do the mapping for the customer service method list all method. So the mapping I'm going to do get mapping. So get mapping helps to call all the record from the table. So I can use the RESTful API method, that is get mapping, M capital letter, and whatever the URL you want to give, so you can fix by your own. So I can give customer service, and the method here also we need to create one method public. So here also similar to the customer service, we need to create a return type with the entity class generic type, and here I am given a name list, that is the name of the method, and it should return the method list all. From where it should return now, cust is the object for the customer service class. So from the customer service class we can call the list all method to the controller class. So it will help to call the list all method. Okay, and this URL will help you to navigate to execute this list method whenever we given this URL with the get mapping method. Okay, and it will be happening in the Postman API. I will teach you in this same video how to work with the Postman API. Before that we need to add the get mapping annotation, and the list util package also we need to add. Yeah, that is fine now. uh, so first of all, we're going to execute this one, and after completing this understanding, we need to come back to here and create other methods also. So everybody need to understand about how to work with the how to get the retrieving the data from the table, and how to enter the data from the to the table without, without a front end. So without the front end, we have a Postman API software. It will help you to inserting the record or retrieving the records. Okay, for all the RESTful method, we can use the Postman API software. So this is the Postman API software. So you can open it. So before that, before we need to run this backend application, we need to do some actions. So in the first package, we have our own package. All the Java codes will be stored in this first package, and in the second package is resources. So whenever we connect the database, we need to make the resources. In the application.properties, we need to enter the database code. So click on that, and you can enter the database connectivity code here. So first code, it will be, you need to connect the data source URL. URL means JDBC connectivity, MySQL connector URL, and data source username for the database, and the password. So Spring data source dot URL equal to, you can give JDBC colon, this is the connectivity for the MySQL. If you are using any other backend database, so you can use for that particular server software URL. So for the MySQL, this is the URL. So MySQL colon localhost colon 3306 slash, this is the MySQL port number, and you can give the database name when you created the database. So the database name is customer service 1. So you can follow here customer service 1. Okay, so you can give the URL with the database name. That's it. And you need to enter the username, Spring data source dot username equal to, the username by default is root. If you given your own name, then you can give your own name, or else by default username is root only for the MySQL. And another thing is data source dot password for the username. So in my MySQL server, I did not given any password, so I can skip this. If you are given any password, then you can give this line and give your own password, otherwise you can skip this line. Okay, so in my PC, I did not give any password, so I can skip this line. And finally, you need to add the server port number, and we need to add 2 lines. So first of all, we need to add the server port number. Port number equal to, I can fix our server port number is 8080. So this will be helps to run whenever we run the Spring Boot backend project. So it will be run on this server port number. Tomcat will be working on 8080 only. After entering the server port number, we need to add the Hibernate code. So for this project, I can add the hibernate.jpa.properties.hibernate dot dialect equal to, we need to add the website link for the Hypernet, org.hypernet.dialect dot mysql dialect. MySQL is a capital letter, my M capital letter, and SQL capital letter, D dialect D capital letter, and let. This is fine now. And additionally, we need to add another one line in the first place, spring dot jpa dot hypernet dot dll equal to update. This is the code for connecting the database. So I can save this right now and go back to the Postman software. It will be opened now. So now you can check with the database also there is no table. So now I can start running this project. So go to the main application program. So I told you that every project will get the main program. So you can click on, right click, go to run, and click on the Spring Boot app for running the program. So it will start it, and you can check the Tomcat server port number 8080 was started. And once it is started, now go back to the database and you can check whether the table was created. See, the table customer was created. Okay, automatically it was created. I told you whenever we create the entity class, it will I said it will automatically create. Okay, so here it is automatically created. So select the table, and you can able to see the three icons. One is information, second one is setting, and third one is design view. So click on that view. So you can able to see that column names. What I told you, whenever we run the project, whenever we run the backend, so I said what are the column name you are given, that will be created automatically, or else the variable name automatically converted into the column name. Okay, now we are doing the mapping for each column. For the CID, I given a link with ID variable. For the CNAME, I can given a link with the name. For the address, I can given a link with C address. Okay, so that is the basic understanding for the mapping. And now the table is there, so I can add the data. Name is Karthik, and I can add another data here, and I can add another data. So now you can, once you added the data, click on apply, and click on apply again, click on finish. So it was added successfully. Now you are coming back to the Postman API, and we need to check. I told you the controller class. In the controller class, I told you we done the mapping for the get mapping for this method. For retrieving all the record, I told you in this customer service class. Okay, for retrieving all the record, I told you in the customer service class, we created the list all method. In that list all method, we call the find all method from the CRUD repository, predefined repository, that is JPA repository. I told that. Okay, so that now we can check whether it is working or not. So what is the URL? Customer service. Before that, we need to give the localhost 8080 that mapping link. This is the port number we need to mention. So what I said, before going to run, go to the Google or anything. So click on the localhost 8080 and you can copy the link first, because we need to copy the link for the Postman API. So here you can able to see the enter URL or paste. So you can paste it here. And the mapping is get mapping. We have number of types of mapping, right? So in the previous video I explained that. So get mapping, post, put, patch mapping, everything. So in that, now we created get mapping for retrieving the record. Okay, so select the get mapping and you can give the specific URL for the list all method. So that specific URL is customer service. So I can copy this and given to here and click on send button. See, I will retrieve all the record from the table. So now we confirming it, our backend project will be work successfully. It was successfully connected with the database. Now we can going to work with other CRUD operations. So go back to your Spring Boot backend project and go back to the customer service class. So in that customer service class, first of all, we will stop the run command. Okay, we will stop the Tomcat server, then only we can need to update, because every time don't forget. Okay, so if once your backend project will start at the Tomcat server, so when you want to update something, so you need to stop the server, after only you need to do the changes. So I can put the stop button and now I can update. In the customer service class we already have that list all methods. Okay, so now we going to add, for inserting the record I am going to create one save method. Okay, so in that save method I am going to give a name, that is no return type, so I can give the void and the save method name is save. I am directly given, but in this method we need to give the parameter. So that parameter type is entity class. Okay, so that we need to mention that parameter here, because whenever the user given a value, what I told you, the entity class will help you to get the values. Okay, entity class is the record. Okay, so you need to create a entity class object here and call the save method from the repository interface, and inside that save method you can pass the object. So whatever the user given a value, that will be stored into this object. That object can be sent into the save method. So for this method, now we can make the mapping in the controller class. So go back to the controller class and I am given a mapping for this post mapping. Get mapping helps to get the record from the table. So post mapping helps to send the record to the table. Okay, so I can make the post mapping. So for the post mapping also I can use the same URL. So I am creating the method for the post mapping. I am just given a method add, so public void add, and here I can create a parameter, because in the customer service class that same method can have a parameter. So like that, here also we need to create a parameter, and for this parameter you need to set request body annotation, because the user given a data, user giving a request, okay, for inserting this record. So that, and for the post mapping we need to enter the import file, and here I can call the, so the object will be same. So what we can do now, here we can change the object. I can make this object in the parameter cust1, because we already have a customer service object has to be cust, so I can change the parameter name here. So cust.save method, this will be called from the, this save method will be called from the customer service class. Okay, and I can save this, and now we can check whether it will be work or not. Run the project. And go to the Postman API, and now you can change the Postman RESTful method post, and now click on send button. Before going to click on send button, you need to enter the input, right? So for entering the input, click on the body tag, body menu, and you can choose the raw. Select body and click on raw, and let's see there, this is the type of the data entry, okay, JSON type. So you can copy it and paste it into here. Before pasting there, you need to change the JSON type. So you can click on the text and change the JSON, select the JSON here, and now you can copy any one of the record from given from the result area and paste it here, and now you can change the values. First ID, the name should be between the double quote and the number should be without the double quote. So the left hand side colon before ID is the column, and right hand side the value is number is value, like that, name and address. So I can give, already ID number 3 is there, so I can enter ID number 4. Now I can click on the send button. See, the one will become, which means the output will be, the given record will be successfully entered. Okay, so now you can go to check, update the record, and now you can see the 4th record will be inserted. Okay, so in this way you can enter the record. Okay, and again I am entering another record. Click on send button. Now you can see, and I will update the table. See there, the 5th record also updated. So in this way you can insert the records. So this is the method. And next, go back to the customer service class, stop the server, click on the red color button, and now you can add the other 2 methods. We already added insert record for saving method, and we added the save method, and we added the find all method, everything. So now we can use get method. So if you want to call a specific record, okay, if you want to call a specific record, so you can use the get method. So you want to get a specific record, so don't use any list operator, list type. So you can directly use the return type for this method is entity class customer, and give the get method, and here you can use the ID for the finding the specific records. Okay, so I'm given a parameter. So this is for retrieving the particular record with id variable, and this method will return dot find by id. Find by id method, and you can pass the CID variable here. So you need to change it. The variable name is id. Just a minute. So here we need to use, no, not like this. Here we need to use the get method. Okay, once you call the find by id, so that's it. So now for this method, for this get method, we're going to create a controller. We need to create a mapping in the controller class. So for getting a specific record, we need to use the same thing. Okay, same thing in the get mapping we already used for retrieving all the record. Right now we can retrieving only a single record with the help of the id variable. So in the flower bracket inside, in the URL, you can mention the id variable. Okay, and you can create a method for it. So the method is get, and the method return type is response entity. Okay, and the entity class name is customer, and the parameter is integer id, and you need to add the get mapping everything. Just a minute. And this is the path variable. The user must give the id. That id record will be displaying whenever we run the program. Okay, so this is the path variable. So we need to mention the path variable annotation here. Path variable annotation. So we need to add the return. So the return statement, before we need to get the record whatever the user given. Okay, so for that what we can do now, we need to create a entity class object, and in that object I can call the get method from the customer service class. Just now before we created, and now we can return response entity, that will be for customer entity class, http status dot okay. If the given id is there in the database, then the http will return the status is okay. Okay, and this is the statement. Now we can check whether it will be work or not. If the given id is not there, so I can use the try block. Okay, if the given id is not in the database, not in the table, then the try block will help you. Try and catch block will help you. I am given a exception class, no result exception, and it will be written the false statement. So not found statement I am given here. If the given id is not there, then it will be executed. So that's it. Only one method now we can additionally we going to add for deleting the record. So for deleting the record, go back to the service class and you can add the method deleting the record, deleting the particular record. With id variable and public void delete return type parameter id and repo dot delete method and id. I can pass the id variable here. So for delete by id method you can use delete by id. That's it. Public spelling. That's it. And now go back to the controller class, and here you can do the mapping for deleting the record. So for deleting the record we have a delete mapping. So delete mapping and slash the same thing we can use. We can follow this for the get method, whatever the URL you are given, so that same thing we can follow here. And now the same things we going to create public void. It does not return anything, it going to delete. So the method name was delete and the path variable we need to give whatever the id the user given, that given id record will be automatically removed. Cust dot delete id. That's it. So for delete mapping we need to add the import statement for path variable v capital letter. That's it. Now we can check the specific record, retrieving the specific record and deleting the record. Now run the program again. Tomcat is started. Go back to the Postman, and now I am changing the get method, and I want to call specific record. So I can give we already have 5 records, so using the id I just call 4th record. So I'm given put slash again and give 4, click on send button. See, the 4th record will be displayed. If I give 5, see the 5th record will be displayed. If I does not does not exist a record or a number anything like 6 is not there, If I give 6, click on send, see it's showing the error message. Okay, internal server error. So that is, I told you here, in this area we are using try catch block. Okay, and next, now we can going to delete any one record. So the fifth record we going to delete. So change the method, RESTful API method delete, and here you can type 5 and click on send button. So it's showing 1, which means the record, fifth record will be removed. Go back to the database and check again, refresh it. See, there is no fifth record. Okay, so in this way you can work it. Okay, for updating the record we need to create one method in the customer service class. So this is for updating the record, which means if you want to change any value in the already existing record, so you can use this method. So I can create the void, I'm creating one update method, and in this update method, similar to the save method, okay, we need to create a parameter for the entity class, and it will be written the save method again. Okay, it will be written the save method again. That's it. And for this we going to create a mapping here. So for this we have a mapping, put mapping method. Okay, so I can use put mapping here, put mapping, and you can copy it. For this put mapping, updating record also, we need to give the ID. So I can copy the delete mapping URL again here, and I can create a similar to the get mapping specific record, get the specific record method. So you can copy it and paste it again. And here you need to change the method name, update. Here you need to change the method name update, and the path variable has to be same. And additionally we need to create a one entity class object. This is for requesting by the user requesting to change the values. So we need to create a request body here for the entity class customer. The object is C. I mentioned CU. It will showing error. Request. Now do some changes. We creating the object here and calling the get method. Everything is fine. So this is for existing record, right? So I can mention this is exist. Okay, and now what I'm going to do now, we're going to save the values because we already have the values in the table. So now what are the things we need to do now? We need to call the set method from the entity class. Okay, because the values already there in the database, there in the table. So we need to call the set method, and via the set method we need to get get the value already have in the database, have in the table, and you need to change it. So that I can call the set method of all the variables. Okay, so first for the id is already given, so we don't take id. So name, set name inside I can use the cu object, or else I can change this update underscore c, which representing updating the record that is given by the user. So update underscore c dot, here you need to call get name. Okay, which means the value can be changing whatever the user given currently, the value that can be changing in the table. So like this you can follow for all the columns. Okay, next we have a address column, right? So you can call the address, that's it. And here you need to change the you need to call the update record method, okay, from the customer service class. So cust.update and sending the new object here that carry whatever the value given by the user. Okay, and in this place right now, here you can change the object. That's it. Now it is completed. Now we can check for the updating the record. Go to the Postman API. Before that, stop the run button and start again. And now check it is properly work or not. And now I am changing the, for example, I am changing the third record value. So I can give the, first of all I can give the put mapping here method and give the parameter, id 3, and don't give the id here. And here the name already is given Tamil, that is fine, so I can give Tamil. And the value is, I'm going to change only the address. Already it will have Puducherry, so I'm going to give Mumbai. Now I can run this. See, the value can be changed, and now I can go to the database and refreshing it. Now I am checking it. See, the address value can be changed to Mumbai. So I hope in this video you can understand clearly how to create a Spring Boot backend project. So it's very simple, very easy to create and easy to understand. If you have any doubts, kindly type in the comment box. So thank you everyone.